All right. Welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott. What you are looking at in the back of my truck is approximately 2,500 pounds of lime. What you saw in the trailer is about 350 pounds of fertilizer and 4 bags of compost. And that is 10, 10, 10. All right, just hang on 1 second. All right, and that is approximately a half acre of cleared land, and about half of that, or about 1/4 of it, is going to be some sort of garden. So we have enough lime and fertilizer for approximately 1/4 of an acre. That's a lot of lime. However, in this part of the world, because we have so many pine trees, the pine trees make the ground very acidic. I think they do that on purpose to kind of reduce the competition. But they make the ground very acidic, and you use the lime to make it more base, or what a lot of people like to say, to sweeten the soil. And that's what we have to do here. And what that boils down to is I have to apply about 1/4 pound of lime on every square foot of the property where I plan to grow things. It seems like a lot, but that was according to the soil test I had done a month or so ago, and also talking to my feed and seed person, that's pretty typical. Some people even put more in there to make it growable for other things than pine trees. So if you are living in a place like, I live in Georgia, so if you're living in a place like Georgia, then more than likely your soil is bad. My soil, from what I've read, is pretty typical of what you find in Georgia. And so to make things grow, you're going to have to amend it. Like I said, I've got 2,500 pounds of lime in my truck. And that's just going to go right out here. I'm going to, tomorrow or the next day, I think tomorrow it may storm, so I may have to push that off a little bit. But we're getting ready to start planting things. And what we're going to grow first is crimson clover, and with a couple other little things mixed in, and get a good cover crop going. And then we can cut it, turn it into mulch, cut it, turn it into the mulch. Then in the fall, we can turn it under, put winter rye for the fall and winter. And then in the spring, turn it under, and then put some more crimson clover on top of that to kind of give us some, some organic material which the soil needs. And it was a lot of work to get this far, but I can finally breathe a little bit once I get this tilled, and that's the next step. Once I get this tilled and get the amendments turned in, and then I get the seed out, I can sit back and, well, not really sit back, but I can do other things besides clearing this land. It was a pretty awesome project, but I'm glad we got it done. So that's really it for today. I wanted to, talk to people that if you don't have a garden, if you're not trying to produce your own food, you should really consider it. I mean, that's where we're going with this. Just right now we have to get the soil ready before we can really start planting things, that'll grow, that we can harvest. But we have other things that we look at as far as keeping food in the house. There's a lot of things out there today. A lot of the big box stores are restricting how much meat you can buy. 1 or 2 packages of something where, maybe in the past you bought 5 or 6, and prices are going up. And so you have to be cognizant of that. We have another event supposedly coming in the fall that's going to be the second wave of the virus. And I don't know what it's going to be like. Some people say it may even be worse than what it was now. And so now, today, before this part of the pandemic is over, you should be planning for the next pandemic. And I would caution you that instead of buying yet another pistol, you go buy food. Because that's, if we look over the past couple months, uh, we weren't shooting no zombies. We weren't, there weren't gangs and, running all over the place, unless you live in a bad part of the neighborhood, then you need to move. But it was food. Everything is food. And so consider what you're doing. Look to your food. Do you have enough food stored? You can't have enough food. And if you can't make your own food, then you need to store food. And then hopefully while you're storing food, you can figure out a way to make some food. Because this may get worse. It may go away, but it may get worse. And so, we continue to push forward. We do what we can with our food supplies. Like I said, we're trying to get into more food production. If we maximize this little bit we have here, that could be a lot of food for us. And so we just keep moving forward. And even today, if the food market comes to a crash, we probably have enough food where we can continue to make this work and get it ready so that by next year we'll have a crop. And we'll be able to last until that long. We may not be happy, but we'll last that long. I can't say it enough. You've got to get your food in order. Forget about everything else. Get your food in order. Because that, like we saw this time, that's what hurt us. Or that's what's hurting us, is the food chain is breaking down. Meat processing plants are breaking down. And so you need to find sources of protein and then sources for your vegetables. And quit worrying about all the other stuff. And on the other part, I was on a forum and somebody had a list of the 12 most important items that you needed for the end of the world or whatever it was. And actually I thought the list was pretty good, but it left out one very important thing, and that was water. What are you going to do about water? How are you going to get water if your current system fails? Now, most of us, myself included, I'm on a county system, and I think most of us are. It's very expensive to drill a well these days. So we're on a county system, but what if that stops? What if right now, and it did yesterday, we were out and the caretaker for my daughter called up and said, oh, there's no water. It happens that quick. Luckily, I called the water company. It wasn't because I didn't pay my bill, but there was a water main break, but there was no warning. I mean, the water just, boom, stopped. And they fixed it in a couple hours. And the point I'm trying to make is it could, boom, stop at any time. Then what do? We have a backup plan. And we have a backup plan to that. And while it's not great, it's still a plan. And so you need to consider, what are you going to do if your main source of water stops? You may have a well, but if it's powered by an electric pump and the electricity goes out, what do? So I know some of you got it, some of you don't. All I can say is get ready. I mean, I don't know what this fall is going to look like, but it's not good. Hopefully it's not as bad as I think it's going to be, but if it is, you better be prepared. That's all I got for you today, everybody. Stay safe and stay secure.